Obviously, with it being a short class with a smaller group, I'd rather go into some Q&A than the guard passes you already seen.
So I was getting the weird name, and I never actually finished it.
Okay,
Like, I'm always here, but I never finish.
All right, let's go over a couple finishing details. And I want to show Julian. Stay like here, come hither. Let me choke you. So let's assume that we were good at jiu-jitsu and we got all the way to the back, right? Like we've gotten to this point and we're working, right? A couple things that are going to help you in finishing your rear naked choke. It's going to seem counterintuitive, but trapping this wrist. So one of the first things I like to do if I'm going to start going to rear naked choke someone is I will start trapping their wrist almost exclusively. Because it focuses all your energy here. Allows me to tighten this hand up and I can start doing stuff like this to really get you focused. Hey, you should really pay attention here, not to what I'm about to do here. That then allows me to, I like to just kind of drag my thumb in and I'm scraping and turning my wrist up and in because I want to get to where the point of his elbow is or the point of his chin is in the point of my elbow here. In this hand, I like to be able to cap just slightly across the shoulder. I'm going to loosen this because I do like Julian most days, but not days when he forgets his belt. But most days, I do like Julian. So once we get here, now you'll hear another one of the dump phrases, reach for your gun, right? So when I'm here, I'm going to reach back to clear that hand, and then I'm going to sneak it behind his head so that my wrist comes into my elbow, but my arm doesn't come out in front. Because that's one of the big mistakes I see a lot of people make is they'll like reach in front. So when I'm here, this hand I'm trying to keep behind his head the entire time. Now, I like to come to here. Now I'm going to do this without Julian in my arms so that he can breathe. So when I'm here, I scrape, get to that shoulder, right? Reach out. I like to come in, and then I'm scooping here. I like to keep this head to where I can push it forward if it's in my way. But I like to be able to cut here because this hand's doing all the choking. This is just support staff. So once I'm here, then I slow, steady squeeze, big, deep breath. My chest should inflate, pushing him forward into this choke. So that way, Julian's here. Boom, we're working, I'm doing stuff, right? I dig this in. And I set this first. Before I even release this hand, I will get this arm where I want it first. Boom, I get here. Sneak this hand in. Now, big deep breath in. Slow, steady squeeze. Put Julian out. Now, this is one of those ones where a lot of guys get to the rear naked choke and they scream and squeeze. You know, everything goes into this squeeze, and they're like, ah! No. If you're doing this right, I can very easily slow, steady squeeze and not apply a ton of pressure. He'll eventually run out of air and blood. So that's one of the, the main details I would say is one, it's got to be a lot of setup. So dragging this hand in, getting this hand positioned first before I commit to the second hand. Because if I have this hand right, I can actually finish from here. I can actually drop this elbow back and finish from here if I have this hand. And if it's not right, I can just dig here because I'm already blocking one hand that's going to be doing most of the defense. That's why I like reaching for this wrist because this is the hand that stops me. I let go of this hand, he starts to defend. Boom, down here, now up. So that's option A that I like about that. Option B is we always call it the Captain America. So instead of going for the big, hand behind the head, I like to reach for this gun, and then I'm going to put kind of the blade of my forearm right in the middle of his back. This hand's already on the shoulder, so I'm just going to connect my hands here, and I'm going to hide my hand behind his shoulder. So I'm keeping this hand back here, and putting it behind his back. The benefit of this is it's a lot harder to defend, especially for MMA because the gloves get in the way. You can't reach into my gloves at that point and pull them apart. That's why I like that grip quite a bit. Questions on this? Like I said, a couple of the bigger details is digging in, setting this hand first while trapping at the wrist, then finishing either side.
I was just going to add, most of the time when I've caught myself not finishing the choke, it's because my head's a little bit low. If you notice, his head's right next to him.
Yeah. I can nibble on Julian's ear. Not to make it weird, but I could. I can say some weird stuff. That is a key to winning jiu-jitsu matches is the mental warfare of telling someone that, just some weird shit. Just like, hey man, really appreciate your deodorant. There's no part of him that sleeps right for the next week. But when I'm here, I'm not square onto his back, forehead to back of his head. I'm shifted off that little bit here, because now I can use that to work and do what I need to do. Right. That allows me a little bit more leverage, a little bit better control. Other questions on this?
How about some options for digging to get underneath his chin?
So, couple options here. Because Julian doesn't suck at jiu-jitsu, let's assume, right? So let's assume that we're here, but he's still smart enough to protect his neck, right? He's still going to be here. One, I will use this like a shovel, and I will grind up in. Option two that I like a lot, especially if I'm already here, I will actually start pulling this up into the back, because that'll open his neck up naturally by arching it. The other one,
You're pulling that arm up and that opens his neck.
so watch, when I'm here, Julian, tuck your chin forward. So I'm here, I'm going to arch my hips in, drive this hand up, and that'll allow me to dig.
It works.
Like I said, it's more in the back arch. I'm pulling that hand up to get him focused on it, because when I'm here, he's naturally going to start thinking that I'm doing something here, which is then going to allow this to come in. The other one I like is the should have had a V8. So I'm here, he ducks his chin in. Bop. I will just pull your forehead. I will literally, the old V8 commercial, I'm bigger than you, just pull his forehead in. It's another good.
How do you feel? I was just watching some DC.
Yeah. Learning from other places.
No, they were talking about using the point of your thumb. How do you feel about that?
As far as driving it in where?
To cross the neck for the head.
Yeah, like knife.
Is that something?
Yeah, because when I'm here, one of the other ways, like some people will teach to do it, is they'll go trick your thumb in, and they'll go that into the neck there and drive up. You can use that.
I haven't had any luck with it.
I don't. It's a how tough are you type thing. It's a if Julian's tough and I'm tough, I can get in there and it may cause a little discomfort, but it's going to take me a hot minute. For me, not what I'm going to prefer. If I'm going to do anything, I'm going to scoop up, and if his chin's still chucked, I'll crank through his chin before I do that.
And do you prefer finishing like this or like on the back? Or is it just...
So for me, I prefer falling to the pillow of death. So when we're here, I always refer to it as pillow of death. We're here, he's on my arm. Because I like to have my lock in the air. It allows me more room to maneuver, where if I switch my hands here, it's really tough to do shit other than what you've already landed in. Where adjustment's a lot easier where I have space here. All this space gives me options where the mat is in my way too big.
So that's ideal position then.
Yeah, that's ideal or sitting up. I will finish a lot of people sitting.
You have to remember that pillow of death too when you're the guy who's back to safety.
Yeah, when I'm Julian, I'm going to the opposite side because that puts you on top of his lock, which then makes it less effective, which then allows you more escape. Like we talk about all the time, the reverse engineering. If I'm trying to isolate your neck, pull you to this side, good idea is to get your, get some support stuff around your neck and get to the other side. That's generally a good starting point for the thing.
No question. If he rolls opposite of the choking arm and then tries to get his shoulder to the mat, how do you keep that from happening?
So let's assume Julian doesn't suck, right? So we get here, right? And he starts to do this. So a couple things. One, if he's good at it, it's going to be really hard. That's the right defense. But a couple things that'll start that. Keep that in. Come here, Daddy. So I'm here. A couple things that'll help you with that. One, you can go to body triangle. The second people start to drop their shoulder, it gives you their hips to a body triangle. Don't cross your feet, but body triangles available, right? That's option one. The other one I really like is when I'm here, I will post and start bringing them up. Because they're already trying to turn this way. So posting up and dragging in will help you turn them to that other side. that's another option. But I will tell you, if someone does that right, very hard to stop. One of those counter to the counter until someone dies situations. Take mount is the other option. If you're like, hey, abandon it, don't give up top trying to hunt that choke. Take mount and redo what you're working on. That. Other questions on this? Alright, get into that seated position, work on trapping that wrist, digging for that choke. Work on the choking hand being in place before you worry about any of this. That's the biggest mistake I see a lot of people rush is they rush to the lock instead of getting this hand right. Once this hand's right, the rest sorts itself. It just takes time. Because I can choke Julian with one hand as long as I just take the time. I'm gonna choke you. So, like if I'm here and I get this hand where I want to, I can squeeze here. He's not gonna choke instantly, but he'll run out eventually. Like, there's eventually an amount of blood and air he needs that's not going to feel great when I start, you can't completely kink the hose, but you can slow down that flow quite a bit where he's going to need to. You've never gone out in a jiu-jitsu choke? You ever seen an old school TV shut off where it kind of, the lights come in from the corners? It's like that, but slow. When it's a blood choke, that's what I'm doing. It may not shut the lights off immediately and snap shut, but I can keep the hose and slow it down.
You're like this, you're like,
Yeah. Alrighty, choke your friends. One, who's got another question from Pregun time?
I've been playing with reverse triangles lately, so I don't know if simple reverse.
So,
side control?
so like
From off my back.
okay, so just to make sure I'm hearing you right.
Oh.
Couple different options when you're talking reverse triangles. One is where you're in a traditional triangle and reverse lock. Or there's like the one where I suck at jujitsu and I give up side control,
Yeah.
and then that one.
Yeah.
Your active desperation.
That one, the active desperation triangle.
It works like
It can. So we'll go over this one. It's a break glass in case of emergency option. I do like sometimes, and you can hit from top and bottom. So I'll show both, so that way you can play. So the one that Dewey's using is this one here. A couple details I like to go over for this. One is I'm going to turn this way and start pushing here, so that way when I jump, I want to have my knee in line with his shoulders here, but I also want to have his neck in the pit of my knee here. Now, when I'm here, I'm going to drive this leg up and lock in as tight as I can here. Now, the biggest detail on this one is I don't want to stay on bottom here. I want to force his roll. So I'm going to open my knees this way, follow, and sit. Now, if you can finish the triangle, great. If not, wrist lock your friends because you can.
So you can finish that from the bottom without the full roll, but you have to start trying to force in like you're going to roll forward, and that's when you get your finish. You start in this direction. Maybe try to stay there and crank him down like you would a triangle without the angle. So if you start just turning this way,
I've got people attached to it by like extending, like breaking their legs down, like getting their legs extended.
Oh yeah. If you get them
I've
broke
got
down,
people like that. Is that like I've got people attached to it? Is that a panic tap or is that a real tap?
where they
panic, trap, and a little bit of I've been here too long is probably a combination of those. I'm not saying that it's not. You will be able to get the tap from here. If I'm trying to be as efficient and effective as possible, I'm going to force the roll.
Okay.
Or at least start forcing him this way. Because right now Julian's being tapped.
that's when it gets tight right there.
And so that's when it starts to get tight, is when you start that roll. So for me, I'm not going to finish it from there because it's a lot of leg effort to finish the triangle like that.
How realistic is it to? Because I've gotten some straight arm bars out of it.
Yes, that's what I'm going to be. So for me, I'm not attacking the triangle, I'm trapping his head. So if you're wondering like, oh, what am I going to do from here? I'm going to come here and I'm going to be like, oh man, I really can't do nothing. Here. I'm going to lock this up and then I'm going to break this arm off. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm not. This is annoying. Get out of, stop trying to do stuff to me so I can break your arm. That's, whether it's Kimura, that reverse arm lock I like, any of those, that's what I'm going to be attacking. The triangle is positional, not submission.
You can hit him with the two for too.
Yeah, and you can also choke and break the arm at the same time. Be a gentleman.
How do you finish like after the roll?
So if I want to finish the actual triangle,
Yeah.
so if I'm here, Boom, I'm here. Boom, I sit here. Biggest thing you gotta do is sit down and squeeze it. So it's I'm sitting into my heels and pinching my knees. I don't love it, but it is an option. I'm generally just gonna start attacking you. Regardless, the second I hit that top position, or if I stay bottom, I'm using that as an arm attack, not a triangle. But not all of us have the dumb yoga flexibility, not stay, suck it, and do all that shit. So you're gonna have a little bit better options from that.
I can bait you into between my legs too. So I start pulling your arm like this way.
Yeah.
Then you want to pull it back, and when you do, I stuff it.
Yeah.
And I push your head at the same time. So you're not necessarily just walking right in, but I'm pushing you there.
Yeah, the biggest thing is going to be getting the pressure into those heels and then pinching. Now, I prefer it if I am going to attack the triangle from top. So if I'm here, one of my favorite ways to hit this is out of that reverse arm lock series we do, where I'm here, try to hit that Kimura, I do all that stuff. But a lot of guys will trap their arm here for me, or I'll step over their arm here. All I'm going to do is pick their head up, and I'm going to slap my heel right next to his shoulder. So I'm here, pop. I'm going to then scoop his head up and lock that triangle in that way. It's a lot tighter, a lot quicker, and that's the one, if I'm going to hit a reverse triangle, like in the traditional sense, I'm going to hit it.
Okay, I got a question about that. 'Cause I can get that on some people, but what happens when they keep moving their head slow and you push it down? What's the
What do you mean? So like I'm here,
and you push his head so you can get your leg over their head here, and they just keep wiggling it out. I don't know. How to
if your leg is not stronger than his neck, CJJ.
Are you saying they're just driving their head to the mat so you can't close the triangle?
Like they're doing this type of stuff? Okay. It's a little bit of speed, a little bit of setup thing. So when I'm here, one of the biggest things I'm going to do is I'm going to start attacking. You've seen this series, right? Where we break the arm, boom, straight arm bar, and he goes here. So a little bit's going to be in the setup, and two, it's got to be speed. So I can't give him time to really do much here. I got to kind of get there in a hurry.
He took his foot, like we do that Casey Katama drill, which is that same spot. He takes his foot and drives it through. He doesn't just like lift the head.
Yeah, my
Laces
foot is
it.
scooping.
He's scooping that head up, like forceful.
Yeah, this is my heel is gonna go through the side of your neck. You can either lift your head and be a part of this, or you can get kicked. Like if I'm here and Julian really wanted to be dumb, my heel's coming back. Whether his neck can be in the way or he can participate, one of the two.
Jiu-jitsu motion.
Yeah, jiu-jitsu motion. Fuck you. At a certain point. And the other thing is when I'm here, I'm also squeezing everything back into my heels and pinching those thighs. Really fun.
He's also got that straight arm lock on that
Yeah,
side.
I also still have a variety of options over here.
More Americana. And he has a arm bar on his legs too.
Yeah, this is a double attack position. So if you get to the triangle and you're like, man, I'm having to do a whole lot of work with my legs, realize there's a free arm laying around. Just feel free to take that whenever you feel.
Wrist lock.
Wrist locks are always, everyone needs a new enemy in life. That's how you get make one. So, questions on either of those? That's a whole other
Do you have
question.
any strikes? You fucking lose.
So,
You're gonna do the race car?
so
The race car is my favorite.
basically,
Do it.
the easiest way is the hey girl. Hey girl. Basically, you have to get pressure behind his elbow and to the top of his hand, and you're trying to make his fingers touch his elbow.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of places you can hit it from, but yeah, the basic principle is that. Is you're trying to drive his fingertips to his elbow. And the biggest, couple of the easy ways to do it, 2-on-1 from the Russian, the inside elbow hand reaching in is my favorite. You'll like that one just from being a wrestler. So like if I'm here, it's like one of the easiest ones I hit. Right, I'll come here. Like I'm 2-on-1-ing, and I'll come here. That one's a simple one that a lot of people don't see coming. Like they'll be playing your collars. Man, that's a real shame that you left that wrist here.
Even if you don't get the wrist lock, if you don't think you're gonna get the wrist lock, it's a distraction.
Yeah, the wrist lock sets up any reaction.
We talk about it all the time. Up close magic works because of the flare and the distraction, not because of what I'm doing. You wouldn't believe how many times I've just threatened the wrist lock, and the oh fuck reaction that bites gets people to move. You know, there's a lot of times where I'm just gonna grab your collar and put a little pressure on your neck. Not because I think I can choke you from there, but because I need you to move from there. So that's what you have to realize what wrist locks are. They're gonna land about 50% of the time. They're fast. You get that panic tap out of people, especially when they don't see it coming. But 50% of the time, you're just fighting a reaction. And that's nice. Literally anywhere.
Literally.
Realize anytime I'm showing you a submission, almost every time there's also a, and you can wrist lock here as well.
He's wrist locking when I've had his back.
You're not called being a piece of shit. Just be creative about it. Yeah, it's fun. The only thing I say, be careful with them because they hop a wrist pretty quickly. But I will hit them real quick and let them go just to get you the scared a little bit. Like you should have done. That shit hurt.
Be nice to fit.
Be nice with your friends. All right. Last question. Who's got one? Patrick.
The adjustment to the head and arm.
Oh.
Blue clay and ice arm.
Yeah. So head and arm choke because all of you suck at them. Go down. So I'm here, right? A couple things we're going to work on. One, most of you know the head and arm choke. None of you can finish it on me. I'm going to fix that problem, create myself some more issues. It's still not good. How many of you have tried it? How many of you don't like it? So I'm here, right? So a lot of times, you know, you're working it, whatever. I don't care how you get to it. But first thing we're going to do is my hand that is under his head, I'm going to try to reach under as far as I can so that this hand is all the way to his armpit here. So I'm here, right? Now, once I get here, I want to make sure I'm under his chin. A couple ways I can do that. The V8 one is one of my favorites. The other is digging under and dragging that chin up. But the biggest detail that most of you guys miss. A lot of people try to lock their hands any particular way. I don't care really how you do it. My preferred way is thumb up, grabbing my hand here, and cinching that in. But the biggest thing that most of you guys miss is, how many of you guys know who Jacare is? Seen him enter a cage, right? Do that crawl. I'm here. That Jacare walk is that
He was cupping the shoulder too.
I'm cupping that shoulder out. I can hit this one-handed. I've actually gotten to the point where I can adjust this here. Here. Now, when I lock, I'm dragging my weight down and around. A lot of you guys just try to drive your weight over the neck. And what ends up happening is this. A lot of you guys are like, ah! And all your weight's going over the top of his shoulder. It's not going into the neck. With this, I drop my weight down, and that Jacare walks it around me. Now, if that's not working, let's say you just got a stubborn asshole. Me, right? I get here, it's not working, right? All I'm going to do is I'm going to slide my inside knee right into the middle of his back. I'm then going to turn and lay him straight across my knees here. This hand coming in. I'm just keeping it here on the shoulder. All I'm going to do, rear naked choke grip, walk into him. That's a gorilla choke modification. So I get it to where he's across my knees, and instead of trying to hit the same grip, all I'm doing is passing this over. This hand comes into the top. So those two, you should be able to start finishing more people. Maybe not me, but other people.
If you feel when you've got it too, you feel like you got all your weight on your elbow. Your weight should be more here instead of just on your elbow. And it's the same for a like Bravo choke. Start choke, same thing, your weight's on your elbow. Weight should be here.
It's hanging out, playing for too long. You call it a Bravo show.
I got yelled at one time.
We can all be pretentious about names someday, I guess. Questions on these two finishes? Like I said, the biggest one on this first one is getting the weight right. So when I'm here, I'm not driving the weight big up and over. I'm dropping my weight down and shifting my weight here. If that doesn't work, walk my knees up to where he's in front of my knees. Here, and finish the rear naked choke grip. Or Dagarila choke grip. Why do you guys don't like that?
Can that second one be your go-to finish?
I prefer it, actually. I don't. Yeah, I'm not traditionally going to hit a head and arm. I'm going to hit that choke 10 times more than I do here. Mainly because a lot of people can defend. Well, it's what I like to go to off the defense. So a lot of people don't suck at jiu-jitsu, right? We always have to kind of work under that assumption. So Julie doesn't suck. Start to finish. So when I get to here, like I can go back to this gorilla choke. Like a lot of people, they'll answer the telephone here. Like a lot of people do that one. Doesn't, like I can still, a lot of the defenses to head and arm set up the gorilla.
I've seen some people finishing a head and arm with a shield across.
Hate it exclusively. Hate it. Hate it exclusively. Yeah, so here's why. If I'm here and I have to put my weight above you to finish this, I fucked up the weight distribution epically. All you're relying on at that point is physical strength and squeeze, not mechanic of the choke. Realize, I think if a choke is working properly, Kat should be able to strangle Jeremy using no strength. That is how mechanically well your choke should work. If I have to rely on strength and dropping my knee down, you fucked up the squeeze somewhere. Like you've messed it up somewhere. That's why you have to get the mechanics of the choke right. Because then when I actually add the strength in, ruins your day, doesn't it? Like most of the time, I can just get to a choke, hold, 3, 2, 1. Okay, you figured it out. You're not going anywhere, and you guys all tap. Anytime I have to truly like squeeze and do, I messed up the choke somewhere. So if I have to knee shield over the top or do anything like that, you've messed up somewhere to have to go.
Knee in the ribs.
Now, driving it into his side, yeah, that's fine. But if I have to go to like knee on belly with that choke, go for the arm bar. You fucked it up. Drill it. I just like choke drilling, so I'll do it as many times as we like. So. I'm here, right? I get the adjustment. I'm walking my knee up right to the middle of his back. This one should be about the top of his head. My hand stays here on that armpit. Here. Once I'm here, I'm squeezing in, dropping this hand right across his face.
You sit him back in your lap.
I don't. I like to keep him on that side because if I start pulling him into my lap, I feel like I'm gonna lose because the panic freak out, I'm gonna lose the position. Like once you get, let's say big money match, he's not just gonna let that happen. He's gonna freak out and start kicking and moving. I'd rather have my weight over the top of his head and chest and have that control. That can flop all it needs. I want control of this. Alright? 1, 2.